Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele and I will be your nerd today and any other day that you watch one of my silly little shows. Alright, so today it's technically a week before the actual event, but I wanted to get this out before everyone sits down to have their wonderful munchy meals. For the people who celebrate this particular holiday in the U.S., Thanksgiving. In our world, in our digital world, our little soapbox that we have here, this is actually the third time we've done this. It is Nerdsgiving. You know, Tales from a Professional Nerd. Yeah, okay. And what we do at Nerdsgiving is basically I take a few minutes to say over the last year what I'm particularly thankful for, what I am looking forward to in the coming year, what I'm looking forward to being thankful for in the coming year, and so forth. But before we get into that, let's do the week in Bryan. It's kind of a I don't want to say boring week, but it's been an average week. I got to play gaming wise, played some Xbox stuff as you do. I got to play in the Homebrew Waking Realms game, which was a lot of fun. We actually had to stop in the middle of a combat because we are assaulting a town prison that's overrun by monsters. And by overrun, I mean we opened the gates with a combination of like acid sprays and little thrown grenade looking things. And it was actually pretty cool to get into where these monsters were waiting. But we have two, they're not undead, but they're like stitched together mutant abomination beholders, two mind flayers, a pile of sort of part like half illithid mutant creatures, a bunch of enthralled guards, and an elder brain. It sounds like a lot. It is a lot. We were kind of taking it careful until the disintegrate rays started getting flinging around, and then it was okay. Let's get in there and do some damage. I think where we had to stop, because we had to stop in the middle of the combat. I think we have dealt with both of the mind flayers. The elder brain has teleported or dimension doored or whatever away. But we still have like the mutant beholders, and all of the thralls and kind of half illithid mutant things. There's still a lot of combat left, I'm sure. So when we play this upcoming week, that it's going to start off with, okay, where were we at in the initiative, and just start smashing. Again, I think we are getting close to, I thought this before, but I think we're getting close to a big epic moment in Micah's game where we will have that choice of, do we want to continue with these characters? Do we want to continue with this campaign? Do we want to change campaigns? So forth and so on. I do know that he just picked up a new world setting book for a very cool looking world setting with a lot of really, really cool stuff in it. So I would not be surprised if we see a shift over to that, or at least adding some of that cool stuff to his world. I got to play, so my friends down in Indianapolis that I run my D&D game for, which I'm not running for a couple weeks still, we often get together and play big, elaborate, massive board games like Twilight Imperium or Blood Rage, or like the games that take a long time. Arkham Asylum, or not Arkham Asylum, Arkham Horror, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Horror, And this last weekend, we actually got a chance to play one of my particular favorites, Star Trek Ascendancy by Gale Force 9. Speaking of which, if you have not played Star Trek Ascendancy by Gale Force 9, you should. It's very detailed, very elaborate. But once you get kind of how the system works, you can move through the turns pretty quick. Now, that being said, it is a game that takes a lot of real estate. You need a big table, and every time that you add a player, it becomes exponentially bigger. Because it is not only space exploration, but you actually do build the map. You physically build the map with warplanes, and it's really cool. It's a very cool, very cool game. I love it a lot. We were playing a 7-player version of the game. We knew it was going to take all day. Start at like 10:30 or 11 in the morning, and get done probably about 8 or 9 at night. Which was the plan until around 5 o'clock, where the Federation player sadly got a phone call that reminded him of a previous thing that he had to run off to go do. And unfortunately, what that meant is we were left with a conundrum. Do we just leave the Terran player sitting there on autopilot, and he just becomes easy pickings for everybody? Do we let the player who was getting absolutely boned as the Breen sort of get rid of their stuff and take over as the Federation? Or do we just blow up all the Federation stuff and it becomes a map of a section of the map that can just be swept in and taken over? The reason why then of course there's the last option, which we'll get to in a second. The reason why none of these options were all that attractive is, first one, putting him on autopilot means that effectively he can be ignored. Unlike the Borg element of the game that has a card deck that says this is what it's going to do, that's really not going to apply to his fleets that are just kind of hanging there. He's just effectively going to be targets to be blasted, but also obstacles to get by, which means if I were, I was playing the Romulans and I was right next to him with several attachment points. If I could have gotten past him, I could have overtaken the Andorians, that sort of thing. But I was waiting because we had an arrangement, that kind of thing. The second he becomes autopilot, his trade agreements go away, and now I've got an entire field full of planets that I was able to slip past at warp speed, where now I've got to stop and fight. It would have been annoying. Option 2, letting the Breen player get rid of his terrible placement. He really did just get bombed. Like, between the dice treating him poorly and the planets that he was operating, that he spawned first, it was he not only was he on the back foot, but he was straight up like losing ships every turn to anomalies. It was bad. And we all felt kind of bad for him, because the rest of us are growing, the rest of us are getting involved with the map, and right there toward the end was when we actually connected the map to him, because there's an element of the game that if you try and stay in your own insular little world, you go last in the turn, you don't get options for alliances. I mean, like, there's a lot going on, and he was just left out in the cold, so to speak. So if it would have made sense for him to be like, all right, the Breen just die, I take over the Federation, except for the fact that right there toward that part of the game, we started to make agreements with him to start doing stuff. He was going to become the buffer, specifically from my perspective. He was my buffer between me and the Dominion, which was my primarily my biggest threat. Most everybody else, I believe I had handled if it came down to an altercation. But he was really the one that was knocking on my side door, so to speak, and the Breen were going to be my buffer. So getting rid of them would have been, just so the player has, takes over for the Federation. It would have eliminated a defense that I had already been kind of planning on. And then the third option, just pulling all the Federation stuff up, would have been the two neighbors, the Andorians and the Romulans. We would have just swept in and laid claim. Like, it would have just, no one would have been closer, no one would have gotten there faster, and we would have, doubled our power in 2 seconds, because suddenly we've got all these extra planets and all these extra resources without having to deal with exploration cards, without having to deal with negative effects. It would have been bad. So collectively, we decided that a game like this, especially a game that had gotten that far in, when a player had to leave, we would just need to call it quits. Which kind of sucked, because I really did think that I was within probably 3 turns, two or three turns of striking and dealing with my my opponents, my neighbors, and getting a pretty big leg up on victory towards the whole board, or at least putting myself into a place where I can just kind of grind my heels in and go, every turn I'm getting an ascendancy, and when you get to 5 ascendancy, as everybody but the Vulcans, when you get to 5 ascendancy, you win. And I was 1 turn away. This is gonna sound weird. I was 1 turn away from being able to get an ascendancy every turn, which means I was effectively, because I already had 1 ascendancy, I was effectively 5 turns from victory, and we had to stop. So, boo. But it was still a lot of fun. We got to hang out. We got to, have some drinks, eat some snacks, talk to people, talk about stuff that we, you don't get a chance to do that kind of talking during a role-playing game because you're focusing on the role-playing. And it was the first time I got to see the Vulcan, the Vulcans just recently had their race come out, same thing with the Breen. Or rather, Vulcans and the Breen? I don't remember. Well, either way, there were 2 new races that I had not seen on the played on the game before, and we both had them, so I got to see them at least a little bit. So that was pretty cool. It was a good time. Again, 7 players is going to be a long time, and it would have felt more fruitful if it would have managed to finish. But oh well. Personally, the diet's doing okay. I haven't really lost any of the weight yet, but I'm just kind of getting back into it. So we'll, hopefully you'll start noticing a difference. Professionally, lined up, it sounds like I'm gonna be. Renegade Games announced the dates of the next Renegade Con, their online convention where we do a bunch of panels and run events and things like that. That is going to be February 3rd and 4th, 2023, obviously. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing during that, but I did talk to marketing yesterday, and they said that they will be using me for a lot of stuff. So I don't know what I'll be doing, but I'll be doing stuff. Now, that being said, that's also the same weekend as Winter Fantasy up in Fort Wayne, which I am supposed to be running events for. Which probably means that on 2 of those Winter Fantasy is a long show. It's a 4-day show. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5-day show. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a long series of events, but it's really laid back, and a lot of sessions, a lot of cool multi-day events. It'll be fun. My hope is to be able to work around my RenCon schedule, or if it's depending on the panels or whatever, maybe get them recorded ahead of time. But either way, I will definitely be making that happen. Let's see, what else? I signed a gig to do the speaking part for to record some audiobooks. More about that in the future when I can, but that'll be fun, recording some audiobook stuff. Yeah, so I think is that pretty much it? Worked on a bunch of Warzone stuff. Very excited to hear back from the playtesters on a few tweaks we made to one of the new units. I will be playtesting some of that stuff myself soon, but more than anything, it was just nice to really get back into the real deep groove of coming up with some new rules, coming up with some new special abilities for some units that we had not fully statted out yet before, but now I kind of need to be. I wanted to get ahead of the game, no pun intended, to make sure that when we start giving out information, when we start talking about how the new Kickstarter is going to go, that we were ready, that we are ready to rock and roll, and to really kind of get into detail with the new the slight alterations to the rules, the new lineups for packaging, things like that. So I am excited about Warzone Eternal, as always. Also been doing a lot of editing on some Warzone Eternal Fiction stuff, getting things cleaned up for the rulebook and cleaned up for other cool secret projects. Still waiting to hear back from Renegade on my next big gig from them. They are sorting out, and I'm helping with a source book that we finished up, but it's a pretty big chunk of there's a lot of layout and post production stuff that needs to get worked together and whatnot. I got to help with some art direction. Just good stuff all around. It's been a good solid week. I am very much looking forward to getting to hit the green button on a few things. I've got a couple of things in the wings, sort of waiting to happen, because while I know what they're going to be and I know that it's something that's going to happen soon, without having it in writing, without having someone in management actually say go, I gotta kind of wait. But yeah, so it's just been a solid good week. I'm glad. I think that's pretty much it, as far as the week in Bryan. Yeah, I think so. I can't think of anything else that's jumping out at me. All right. Well, then let's get to the actual topic of today. It might be a fast episode today, but it's a holiday episode, kind of. I know it's a week early, but you deal with it, cope. So, Nerdsgiving. Nerdsgiving, we did the first Nerdsgiving a couple of years ago, and it was a way for me to, at that time, I was very thankful just for you guys who watch. Still am thankful for that, but it was so early in the realm of my show that I was just thankful that it was happening, that it was getting off the ground, that things had moved as far forward as they had already. The year after that, I had a lot more to be thankful for, and this year, this Nerdsgiving, I am in a really good place, professionally, personally, mentally, emotionally. A lot of the drawbacks of COVID have become in much greater control. We're getting back to conventions again. People aren't feeling like they've got to be completely cooped up in their houses. Getting to actually get together with friends and see people and do things. That's probably one of the most important things that I'm thankful for this year, is that life has mostly returned to normal. That's not to say that before we didn't have to get booster shots for this pandemic every 4 months, and we didn't need to carry masks in our car in case we were going to go someplace where they require it, or where we feel that it might be necessary. It was definitely, we didn't have to necessarily watch out for, if you've got a friend that is particularly sensitive to these sorts of things, or requests, hey, can you do me a favor and wear a mask around me? Like these are things that were not just part of the vernacular, but now it is. And while I am thankful for people being, caring out and looking out for each other's health, I won't lie, I am more thankful for the world starting to become normal again. Which I know is for the people out there that really are, still being very, very careful. That can kind of sound kind of condescending or callous. I don't mean that as a knock to the people who are still being very, very careful. Everyone lives their own life. I get that. Just like if I went someplace and they asked me to put on a mask, I've got them in the car specifically. If you need me to, I will put one on. Absolutely. If I'm going into a place that I know is going to be jam packed with idiots, I'm gonna bring it with me. I'm gonna put it on. It's just all about doing my part when I can. I am vaccinated. I am boosted. The couple of times that I have come down with COVID, it's been pretty mild because of my vaccinations and my boosters. But I don't want it to spread it to others. I don't want it to risk bleeding into someone who isn't protected. But all of that aside, I am still very thankful for the fact that while we're not completely out of the woods, we can at least start to see that other side. I am also, I'm very thankful for the Discord community. My Discord Rangers, or Discordicons, depending on which channel you're on. When I signed up last year, when Scott asked me to be the voice of rules on, or a voice for rules on Discord and Facebook for Essence 20, I was hesitant because, talking to people about rules mistakes and clarifying things, and sometimes telling someone, hey, your problem is your GM is letting you get away with murder, or your problem as a GM is your players are walking all over you, is a lot of times that it makes for a rough morning. But over the last year, I can't tell you how fantastic that community has become. Even if there is a problem child, even if there is someone that rises, that pops in and is like, this game sucks, or I've tried to do this and you can't do it with this game, or whatever, it is easily one of the best gaming communities that I've been a part of. A lot of the moderators take good care of take good care of things when we're not looking. A lot of times I'll jump on there to answer a question that I've been tagged in, and I'll look and like it was already answered by 10 other people in that community and answered correctly. Sometimes it is just, you know, they're referring back to something that I've already said, or they'll you know, here's the link to this is the fact, you know, you can find it here. It's just a really, really well done community, and I'm very, very thankful for all of the help and support that they have given us, and that even when they're, you know, in rare form and maybe having a problem with how something's supposed to be, or, you know, one member particularly being like, yeah, not at my table, I'm going to do it this way. You know, very rarely do you get someone who just starts spouting off and being like, oh, you're an idiot, you know, you're not playing this right, or, you know, how could you do that? What a stupid idea. A lot of times, you know, the YTYC, the Your Table, Your Call, really, really does get emulated in the Discord. Is a lot of people, they might offer their opinion. They might be like, hey, I wouldn't run it this way, and here's why. But very rarely do you see someone just straight up go, I can't believe you're doing that. That's stupid. And when you're dealing with a game of the imagination, a toy box setup like the Essence 20 series, the last thing you want to do is stifle someone's imagination and tell them that they can't do it. You know, it's become kind of commonplace for internet discussion to become almost like an old game of cowboys and Indians. I got you, no, you didn't. I'm right, you're wrong. This is black, this is white, there's no in between. And I've really come to realize that the Discord community on Renegade Games' server specifically, I can't speak for some of them, but specifically the Essence 20 servers, have really become more of a let's talk about this, let's see how we can make this work. I think I would do it this way, you could do it that way. I mean, it's exactly what you, Lisa, and I, and the rest of the team were talking about when we started coming up with this system, was GMs and players working together to create the coolest event, the coolest sessions that they can, the most fun at the table that they can, the cinematic experience that they particularly want and need. And seeing that reflected in the Discord is it's awesome. So I'm very, very thankful for my Discord Rangers and Discordicons. I don't know if Ryan has the special name for the G.I. Joes. Maybe Project Discord or Operation Discord. I don't know. But it was it's been a fun like thing to do. My office hour every day is actually something I enjoy. You know, I don't it's not a chore, it's not something that I go, oh god, I gotta sit down and listen to the Discord people. No, I actually look forward to it. Yeah, so there's definitely that. I am actually thankful for Essence 20 itself. Just as a system, hearing that at conventions people are starting to run it on their own, seeing more live streams pop up on YouTube and Twitch, hearing, you know, how much fun people have had at their various, you know, convention games and in their home games and things, just really starting to see this new system, you know, because it's only been out for a year. And depending on which setting that you play, it's maybe been out dramatically less. But just knowing that it is starting to get its legs, people are starting to recognize it as, oh, this is something that, you know, this, you know, yeah, there's these multiple licenses, but this system is actually pretty solid. Knowing that I had a hand in that I helped Elisa and the rest of the team come up with those rules, and that people are really, really enjoying them, it means a lot. You know, I recently got into a Twitter discourse about how game designers and writers we aren't the ones that get famous in this industry. It's the streamers. It's the the live play actors, the voice actors that are, that get the multi-million-dollar Kickstarter deals. Those are the people who get the fame and fortune out of our industry, and it is sometimes very disheartening, knowing that they could not do what they do if we do not do the things that we do. It's very much sometimes the little guy gets forgotten. The little guy is the important guy, and nobody thinks to thank that backstage employee. And the shining light in all of this is knowing that the system is taking off, knowing that more people are getting excited about it, and that maybe someday, people, when they'll be like, when there are more licenses attached to Essence 20, and maybe we'll eventually get our own, get some kind of like award recognition for the system, or one particular license will stand out as a shining example of what E20 can do. That maybe, we don't do this for the fame, but a little recognition from the industry is nice, and starting to see the game take off and starting to see it get legs, starting to see more reviewers talking about it positively, that goes a long way. It really, really does. And I hope that that's first steps toward Essence 20 becoming, I don't want to be like a gamer household name, but in that same vein, that when someone talks about the Fate system or Savage Worlds, that they just know. Whether or not, whatever license you're using, it doesn't matter. They just know what you're talking about. That's what I'm hoping for Essence 20, is rather than, because over the last year, it has been a lot of times when we bring it up, they'll be like, oh, what's Essence 20? That question I want to see eliminated from our peer groups. Is they know what Essence 20 is because there's a lot of people playing it. Just like everybody knows what Pathfinder is because there's a lot of people playing it. And that's what I want. That's what I want that system to take off, and I want it to be recognized as not a fluke. Not Renegade is just making a couple of games. I want people to recognize that Essence 20 and the licenses that we've got and the new licenses coming, that it's not going anywhere. And that if you like it and you enjoy it, start playing it, and hopefully it will become your new favorite your new favorite game system. Let's see, what else? I am very my one of my other Nerdsgiving thankfulnesses is I am this actually kind of goes hand in hand with something I just updated my the show, the Tales from Professional Nerds Amazon wish list, which you can find in the description. The reason why is because some of my local friends have seen my stress levels. They've seen all the stuff that I've been doing and how much work I've been putting in for different things, and that all work and no play makes Bryan a dull boy. So they have started to get together, and they gifted me with a handful of new miniatures and things for different games, to kind of setting me up for more stuff, more fun things to do with them. And so I updated my Amazon wish list, that for my Nerdsgiving, what I am thankful for. I'm preemptively thankful for anybody who decides to buy a gift for the show off of that list and send it over, because this is all about community. It's all about hopefully helping people and giving them information and making people happy, because that's what we do. That's the whole point of this whole thing, is to make people happy. Part of my newer my new kind of look on life is that whole leave every room a little happier than when you got there. And that is, some of my friends have really embodied that lately. And even if they're dealing with personal tragedies and things, they are trying to keep things positive, trying to keep things up, trying to help play games and enjoy that part of life to the best of their ability. And in doing so, they're helping me with that. Let's see, is there anything else that just really stands out as, whoa, I am super thankful for this year? I am thankful for my fellow game industry folk. This year has been very weird for a lot of my industry peers. There's been a significant amount, sadly, of cancel culture hitting members, different writers, different authors. And I am extremely thankful for those in my past who I may have had transgressions with or over or disagreements with, that have allowed me to seek forgiveness, to change in my time and way of getting there. And I'm just really hopeful that more people take on that kind of mantle of doing what it takes to fix our past mistakes, no rhyme intended, and to seek the personal help to rectify the situation as best you can, but also to allow others to do so and not vilify them. We as humans, we make mistakes, and if we don't learn to start forgiving people for their shortcomings and their mistakes, we as a society and we as an industry are going to tear ourselves apart. We have to start learning to go, yes, you made a mistake. Yes, it sucked. But yes, you're going to start making things better, and eventually we'll get back to where we were. That's what I want, and that's what I am thankful for, that there have been times in my past that I've stuffed my foot in my mouth, and people have let me make amends for that. People have let me come back from that. They've helped me see where I went wrong without trying to eliminate me from everything. Oh, that Bryan guy, he did this thing. He should be, erased from all contact, because that's not the way to live. That's not the way that that's not the way that a society grows or heals from its errors. You can't just cull everything that is bad from your life. Sometimes you got to deal with it. Sometimes you got to help adapt, and sometimes you just have to, grit your teeth and bear through the bad stuff because it's there. And I am personally thankful this year for so many of my industry peers that have helped me get through dark times, helped me get gigs, help make some of my conventions the most fun that I've had in ages. Taking a chance and putting me on live streams, not knowing whether or not this, pudgy white male can hold his own. I'm very thankful for my friends. I'm very thankful for my family, and I'm very thankful for my industry peers that are all in their own way helping keep me in that positive headspace and help keep my family, roof over my head, and keep everybody moving forward towards that next big awesome step in our lives, or careers, or events, or whatever. So that's, I do wax poetic quite a bit on this channel, and today that's my primary thank you, is thank everyone out there that's part of my life in some facet for helping me stay on track, helping me keep my family afloat and helping me keep my career going positively in the right direction, and hopefully creating some pretty badass stuff for everybody to enjoy. 2022 was hard, not super hard, not as hard as 20 and 21, but I look forward to what I can be thankful for in Nerdsgiving 4 next year. So stay tuned for that, I suppose, and be a part of it. Help me out. Yeah, so you know how this goes. I just want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be safe. I want you to have an amazing. If you celebrate, have a great Thanksgiving. If you don't celebrate, have a good Nerdsgiving. Play a game next week. You know, enjoy yourselves. Put a smile on somebody else's face. Be safe. Get vaccinated. Get boosted. Wear a mask when you have to. And above all other things, get out there and play some games, and then come tell us about it. Like, share, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. You know how it goes. We will see you next week with a very special guest. Bye, guys.